My guests are seated in studio, and I have to my right Elvis Darko, who is the editor of the Finder newspaper. Elvis, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm good.
I saw you giggling when that headline came up.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I know. The weekend was just nuts on
when
Twitter.
When you have
and
a bunch
Facebook.
of jokers in a country like Ghana, this is what happened.
Okay, I'll have you explain that. Let me introduce my other guest, and they will explain what you mean by a bunch of jokers. So my other guest is seated, Vivian Lokko, who is the head of news. The newsroom is here. Vivian, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah, how was your weekend?
Not bad, not bad. I went to the factory,
yes.
the juice factory on Friday.
Yes,
and it was massive.
No, the operation there is something else.
It's something else. So you sit in Accra thinking nothing really is happening at certain places.
Yeah.
But being the poorest district on the map in terms of our statistics and what is happening there in terms of the pineapple plantation and then subsequently the juice factory. I was amazed. And we'll be bringing you a full report later at 8 o'clock in the evening on CNR.
Fantastic. Well, yes. Elvis, let me come back to you. You're very bemused by the whole happenings this weekend. Give me a 30-second commentary on what your thoughts
Most
are.
of the people who went there, they are not celebrities.
Oh, are you saying Becca is not a celebrity?
I said most.
You know what I found interesting? You know what
How can a crap people be celebrating?
Oh, she's a celebrity in her own right.
It's a bunch of jokers.
She's a celebrity in her own right.
The real celebrities in Ghana are not even bragging.
My thing was, what's the definition of celebrity?
What is the definition of a celebrity?
What's the definition of celebrity?
Celebrity.
Because it looks like we need to redefine it.
Yes, you should understand celebrity. Celebrity is based on track record for a period of time. All the so-called, what's the Kwapin Polo's record as a celebrity?
She's a social media celebrity.
Jokers.
Okay, all right.
Stop being jokers in this country. The real celebrities are in this country, and we are not rather celebrating, them. We are celebrating jokers.
But you know, our definition of celebrity in Ghana is very different from what is in the dictionary.
Why should
you
it
know
be different?
that, right?
That's why we are jokers. If you understand why we are jokers,
all right,
because the real meaning of celebrity is not what we are doing. Somebody goes to post some foolish 3 videos on internet, and they say it's a celebrity.
All right, Elvis, let's get into that stories for.
Let's be celebrating the Antonio
not let the new celebrities.
The Professor J.H. in Ketias. Okay? That matching the days. That
but they wouldn't have gone to meet
people who
Cardi
have
B.
really had the track record, we can say,
Well,
when we are talking about
they
a
won't meet Cardi
celebrity,
B.
these are the people
All
who
right,
are
okay, let's get into our stories for the
But we
day.
have become a society that has become, this young generation has become too much of
It's
a
okay, it's okay. Thank you very much.
We lack focus, please.
It's okay. Thank you very much.
A stripper tells a rapper is now what you people are trying. People are dying to meet.
It's okay.
I ask people in America, they don't even know her.
Elvis, it's okay.
I ask friends in America, we don't even know her. We don't even know how popular she is in America.
All right, let's take our first story for today. We're going to look at the financial sector cleanup, and the government is looking to secure from Parliament 15.6 billion. Let me read the story quickly for you, and then we'll get into it. Government seeks parliamentary approval for 15.6 billion bailout of financial sector. And this is from citynewsroom.com. The finance minister, Ken Oforiatta, is seeking parliamentary approval for the use of 15.6 billion to strengthen the financial sector by improving liquidity and securing depositors' funds. President Nana Akufo-Addo has already given executive approval for the expenditure. The memorandum from the finance minister to Parliament, cited by citynewsroom.com, said that there was a need to protect the financial sector in the face of the cleanup exercise that affected some universal banks, savings and loans companies, microfinance companies, and fund management companies. According to the document, the amount will cover some of the interventions that have already taking place, such as setting up of the Consolidated Bank Ghana. In view, and I quote, in view of the foregoing, the need to protect the financial sector, Parliament is respectfully requested to consider and approve expenditure of up to 15,600 million Ghana cedis for the bailout of depositors and investors. and for ensuring that liquidity in the financial system is improved, thereby safeguarding the financial sector and the economy. This amount covers all the fiscal interventions in the financial sector starting 2017, the memo indicated in its conclusion. All right, now I'll quickly read also from the Finder. The Finder here says, government on course to secure parliamentary approval for 15.6 billion Ghana cedi bailout from Opong Nkrumah. Government says it is on course to secure parliamentary approval for 15.6 billion Ghana cedi bailout for the financial sector cleanup. Contrary to some media reports that Parliament had rejected the request, Information Minister Kojo Opong Nkrumah, who is also a member of the Finance Committee of Parliament, explains that the request has not been rejected. According to the minister, the committee met last Thursday and received government's request and even explored if the government could spend a bit more on the exercise. He explained that the report of the committee is expected to be taken to the plenary this coming week for parliamentary approval. Earlier, President Akufo-Addo had given executive approval for the Ministry of Finance to proceed to Parliament for approval. Mr. Opong Nkrumah said that this was an indication of the President's commitment to ensure that depositors who were affected will receive their funds and improve liquidity for the financial sector. The financial has since 2017, financial sector has since 2017 seen a series of cleanup exercises carried out by Bank of Ghana and the Security and Exchange Commission. Government believes that the requested amount would give the necessary support to the sector required to bounce back on its feet and be stronger. Elvis, what do you make of this? Some media reports said earlier that Parliament had rejected, but your paper is suggesting from the Minister of Information that that's not the case at all, and is rather looking to give approval to it this week.
Well, for me, I don't see how Parliament is going to reject it, because obviously we all saw what has happened. We've seen that it's real. People's money are still locked up. All that has been done so far is just to give people some what we call relief payment. That probably your money has been locked up for a while, so get some 20,000 and be living on that until government validates everything and then looks at how best to get at least a large chunk of your money to you. So it's a fact that many people only received that 20,000 or 10,000 cedis and are still waiting for a large chunk of their money, because somebody invests 200,000, 300,000, is been given 20,000. It's woefully inadequate, and the person needs to get at least something more than that. So, for me, looking at it, I think the Bank of Ghana and the government now think they have the actual figures. So, if you look at the memorandum minister sent to Parliament, these are the breakdown. The banking sector, 9 banks is what we are talking about. The bailout for the 9 banks is 11.2 billion. Then they are looking for 450 million as capitalization for consolidated bank. So that makes it 11.65 billion. Then if you come to the special deposit taking and MFI, which is the microfinance institution, the savings and loans and microcredit institutions, the entire bailout that they need is 925 million Ghana cedis. The savings and loans is 1.2 billion. And then the microcredits is just looking for about 300 million for liquidity for the microcredit sector. So if you put that together, they have 2.45 billion as the total cost for cleaning up the microfinance, the savings and loans, and then microcredit sector is 2.5 billion. And the breakdown is in the document they sent to Parliament. Then the Securities and Exchange Commission, we saw their action just barely about 3 weeks ago. According to the finance minister, the bailout is expected to be 1 billion Ghana cedis. And the intervention to insolvent institutions is about just 5 million Ghana cedis. 500 million. So that if you put together, it's 1.5 billion. So if you put all the sectors where the cleaner has taken so far, you come to 15.58 billion Ghana cedis. So the breakdown has been given for sector by sector, how much is needed. I don't see how Parliament is going to reject this, because the ordinary Ghanaian who has gone to invest in an institution that has been licensed by the state now has his or her money locked up all this while, and it has been given a relief payment of about 10,000 and 20,000, and is waiting patiently to see if he will get at least a larger chunk of the money. And therefore, for me, this thing approval definitely will be given by the finance, when I expect Parliament also to give it up, because many people are in a state of despair as we speak, because their monies have been locked up. People have lost big-time business opportunities. People's children are home because they can't pay school fees. In fact, the SEC issue happened. I saw a city story that was done from Tamale, and a woman was virtually in tears on TV that all her money, 100,000, she went and deposited in an investment firm. She's lost the husband. She has 3 children. What to eat at home is a problem. Her child has to be withdrawn from the university because they can't pay 2,500 school fees. So the child is... Meanwhile, he has 100,000 cedis in an investment firm. So the impact of this mess that we've seen in the financial sector, the impact on individual lives is unimaginable. So I believe that as a nation, we have sat down on our rights as regulators. These things have happened. I don't think that the ordinary Ghanaian who went to invest in a licensed firm should lose all his or her investment. If not for all, even if they get 50 or 60% of their capital that they sent there, at least it can help them to restart life or do something meaningful. So I pray that this thing goes through as quickly as possible, so that more people can get some reasonable money to be able to make a living.
Let me come to you, Vivian. It's a lot of money that the government is seeking as bailout. There are people who are responsible. I'm not sure how far we've moved in that direction to hold them accountable, because we can't keep going around doing this over and over again. What do you make of this bailout proposition from the executive? And then just a comment also on the issue of what's happening to the people who are responsible for bringing us to this point.
So last week I was at CBG, the Consolidated Bank. I think I went to a couple of them around Adabaka, and what I was seeking to do was look at how far or how payment for these validated persons are going through. And you could see old people. This whole financial crisis, the part that hurts me the most is pensioners. Because these are vulnerable people. These are people who've worked for over 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. And their crime was to put their money into a regulated financial organization, or their crime was to want to save or prepare for their future. And then this has happened to them. And there were tons of them over there. And the excuse was the network was down. And between you and I, we know that the network wasn't down. They didn't have money to pay one, or they don't want to pay because of availability of funds, or trying to also distort their running of their affairs. So they would rather stay away from paying. And you watch this and say, look, I still haven't seen or heard anything about these regulators who sat and watched and this happened, anything happened to them. The prosecutions we've seen so far, or attempts to prosecute, is the Capital Bank and then is there in Capital Bank, I think.
That's the main one. That's the only criminal
that's the only criminal prosecution.
The rest are civil.
The rest civil. And the civil ones and all that, there is no regulator in there that is being official of any authority that is being prosecuted. And if you look at the reports
am I right if I remember that in the Bank of Ghana report, the report that came out on the financial sector, some people who were staff members of Bank ofGhana
were found to have also been guilty. Yes,
but yet
have you heard any of them? Some of them have gone on retirement. Those who oversaw these issues, some of them are on retirement, enjoying their proceeds, whilst your auntie or your cousin or whatever, who's gone on retirement don't have access to their funds.
Yeah.
And you see, we are mixing all the issues. So the financial crisis is a huge one. We have those who were involved in institutions that were not regulated.
Yeah.
We have ones who were involved in institutions that the authorities didn't know where to place those institutions under what regulation.
Okay.
We have those people.
Okay.
Then we have those people who put their money in regulated institutions.
Yeah.
Yet the regulator wasn't doing the right thing to ensure that their funds were protected.
Yeah.
And it happened for years.
Yeah.
This thing started for more than, if I'm right, more than 7 or 8 years ago when the problem started.
Wow.
And they could see. So you go to somebody, so they have the on-site and not on-site inspection. They go on-site. When they look through their books, they know where this bank is going or where this institution is going. It won't go well. And then they give them some time. In some cases, they were giving them liquidity support. And the liquidity support was being overseen by the same managers.
Yeah.
What do you expect to come out of it?
Yeah.
They will still, if you, Kwaku David, you are overseeing my business. When I give you the money or investments come from our proceeds, you use it for, and then I keep giving you money. What is wrong with me?
Yeah.
Right? You won't make use of it properly. And they were seeing these things. They kept giving them money in some instances. In other instances, they saw them diverting the money, going into real estate, going into very risky ventures. That you know that this. It won't end up well. And the risks were so high, yet we watched it happen. And this happened over years. Now, today, we are at this point. I'm saying that the people who are involved, those who have lost their money, they need to get every money they put in, especially those who were in regulated institutions.
Yeah.
Their crime was to save. Their crime was to put it in money. If you look at the pensioners involved, the pension funds we have, let me see if I can pull that. If you look at the statement they sent to us on the matter.
The pension funds were 863 million.
Yes, 800.
Of pension funds.
Exactly, pension fund 839.63 million.
That are locked up there.
Yes, SDI is 933. There's another one, insurance and co. If you look at the exposures to these various sectors, insurance, pension, banking itself, because some of the banks to put monies into these other banks, what do you call them? The savings and loans. If you look at the exposure, if they do not put this money in now, the banking crisis or the financial crisis will go worse than we are expecting.
Wow.
Look at us. We are going into Christmas. Thousands of people have lost their jobs, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people can't get access to their funds and all that. And all these people are in the system. Fuel prices is going up. Cost of food is going up. Teachers are on strike. They are not happy. Look at what is happening. So they know that the earlier they get into this, the better for them. Because this exposure and crime is bigger than we are looking at it. And the liquidity, access to liquid, the banking system now, there's no liquid, I'm telling you. Sometimes, even when you go to your banks or your financial institution, when you get there, they say the network, they are lying. There's no cash available. That's how serious the issue is. Right. So the earlier we solve this and start prosecuting authorities, because if you don't deter, you are wasting your time as a society. Because they'll do the same thing and get away, and they'll go and call a chief or somebody to beg for them. Life goes on.
Well, we have to take a short break at this time. We'll come back and we'll have a conversation about vigilantism and also fuel price hikes. But let's take a short break. We'll be right back. All right, so welcome back, and remember that the hashtag is Breakfast Daily. My name is David Kwaku Sakyi. You can also send us WhatsApp messages on 0550-585-832. I want to get into the fuel hikes conversation, and Kopek is speaking. We'll take a short read of that story, and we will come back and have a conversation with my guest in studio. Review nuisance taxes to check the spate of fuel price hikes, says Kopek. The Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, Ghana, has asked the government to check the spate of hikes in the prices of petroleum products. A statement signed by the Executive Director of COPEC, Duncan Amwa, said the government must review some of what it described as nuisance taxes in the sector to stop the petroleum price increases. We call on the government to review some of the nuisance and needless fuel taxes as we currently have in the price build-up in the country, since the 2020 budget has set out in clear terms to focus on clamping down on fuel smuggling, which is known to cost the country over 1.6 billion in tax evaded annually. Fuel prices across most of the major oil marketing companies have seen an increase of almost 1% since last Friday. Average pump prices that hitherto was at 5.36 per litre for both petrol and diesel have seen an increase of 5 pesos to current new prices of 5.410 per litre or 24.3 per gallon for both petrol and fuel and diesel, according to COPEC. All right. So, what do you make of this, Vivian?
You know what? Was it last 2 weeks? I went to buy fuel. I had, I think, 150 or so. You know, before the increments became the order of the day. Well, if I had 150 in my car, I mean, it doesn't fill the tank, but it goes beyond more than half. And the thing was still lingering below the half tank. And I was saying to myself, hey, Charlie, this thing is getting serious. You know, and I'm not sure it will end anytime soon, because if you look at the factors they are using to say that it's leading to the increment, which is the CD matter and all that, the depreciation of the CD, and I've forgotten the second one. We still have issues with the CD, stabilizing it. I mean, the Bank of Ghana has tried to put in some money over the period to stabilize it, but we are still not getting there because the factors in stabilization of the CD are enormous. And until we deal with that, we are not getting anywhere because our importations are really high. And everybody, you know, is importing something. Everybody is selling something that is important, but not selling anything that is from here. And so if you look at this period as well, Christmas going to next year, the first quarter, a lot of the businesses are going to do a lot of imports. So the CD, the dollar matter will become a big thing. So it's not going to end anytime soon. Now, one of the key things that COPEC raised was the issue to do with smuggling, which is costing us over 1 billion cedis, I believe, annually. Billion, Now, if we're able to block the loopholes over there, see the amount of money we can save, instead of continuously taxing the same, overflocking the same, you know, it doesn't make sense to me. So we need to now look at that side and see how we'll deal with it. Because you see, when the prices of fuel goes up, it affects everything. Inflation, prices of everything. Because when the markets women bring their thing, they'll tell you prices of fuel are about charges. So therefore, I'm also increasing this. And then it goes on and on and on. So we need to block that loophole. I think I spoke to Duncan Amoa some months ago, and he was making very serious revelations about the smuggling thing. And it's something the industry knows, and they know how to deal with it. Yet, once again, comes back to the same issue with our authorities. No, we don't see who wants to take the bold step, the leadership step, to clamp down on these issues. It's like we are afraid of everything, or we are afraid of the implications of being the leaders and say, I'm going to stop this. Whoever is doing this, when I arrest you, I'm going to sanction you, to deter and all that. But we watch. And then when it becomes something else, before we try to move around and all that. So I believe the solution to this is to block the loopholes and not continuously taxing us. Every budget, energy sector levy is going up, or we are doing this. It doesn't make sense.
Elvis, what's your take on this?
Well, for petroleum price increases, we all know that we will not be paying what we are paying if there are no taxes on petroleum products. But everywhere in the world, governments see petroleum product as a easiest source of what? Raising revenue. And the factors that make petroleum products go up are the price at the world market and the management of your currency. If the price at the world market did not go up and your currency slides, fuel price will definitely go up. Because you need more of the local currency to be able to go and buy the commodity at the world market and bring it here and sell. And you have to recover your money. So to recover your money, you have to factor in the depreciation of the local currency to be able to take care of your cost of bringing. And now that we are in full deregulation, they always have to factor that. So these things are things that we really must understand that some of them really we don't have much control over. The taxes are the ones who have control. But the point is, in a country where tax rates are very low, and we are all putting pressure on whichever government is in power to provide development, the government will also find ways of trying to raise money to give us some of these things. Last week I read a story from Bloomberg which says for the past 25 years, there's no single year that has ended that the city has appreciated against the dollar. And that this year we are heading towards the same thing. So for 25 continuous years, the city has never ended the year appreciating against the US dollar. So if the city has been performing this for the past 25 years, you should know that it is not a governmental problem, it's a systemic problem. And until we solve those systemic problems, we cannot stop the depreciation of the city, which is the cause of some of these things. That is why the president said we should eat what we produce. It's something that we all must pay attention to. Because if you look at the food import bill of Ghana now, it's about $2.4 billion a year. Food. Not anything, just only food. Rice alone is over $1 billion. So if we are spending all this on imports, how can a local currency be strong? Meanwhile, we shout a lot about cocoa loans coming in. We are selling cocoa. How much? This year, the cocoa loan is just 1.3 billion. So your food import bill alone is double the amount you make from selling your entire cocoa, which we have built our economy on all these years. So obviously, if we as a people do not look at the systemic problems in this country and solve it and focus on solving the key issues, we will make all the promises. We will give people all the assurances. But then we cannot achieve the results that will give us the kind of stability we need. And Kumfi people are shouting, Kumfi, I smiled. As far back as 2004, 2005, I went to Blue Skies with the then Minister of Finance, the late Kojo Banredo. What Blue Sky, what did they do? They only peel this raw fruit, refrigerate them, and fly them to Europe. And at that time, the MD of the company said Ghana has the potential to set up even 10 of those same companies everywhere in Ghana, because the demand for our pineapple and mango and things in Europe is very high. As far back as that time, this is over 10 years ago. But up to down, we had only blue skies until we are seeing a Kumfi. But this is a message that we have been told by people who are managing a company that is making it that we could have 10 of those companies in Ghana, and the demand for the produce in Europe is still high. But what have we done? 10 years down the line, it is now that we have one more to add to blue skies. But it doesn't. But the potential for us to be able to do it is there. So if we don't take these radical measures that will at least give our economy a certain footing, then the possibility of managing the city to keep fuel prices stable is not going to happen. So because so long as the city continues to slide, remember that you're going to be paying more for the fuel. So you see, it is an economic quagmire that we find ourselves in. And until we, as a people, begin to look at things from the right perspective and take the right steps, we will continue to be in this situation. No government, as I've given you, the past 25 years, that's the Fourth Republic. That's the entire Fourth Republic. There's no single year that the city has ended the year appreciating against the US dollar. Not a single year. So for the 25 years in the Fourth Republic, our economic management has shown that we have not taken steps to address the key issues. That's why I have said that a policy like one district, one factory, every effort must be made to make sure that it succeeds. Because that is the only way we are going to give some strength to the city. Because even if we don't export, but this thing becomes substitute for our imports, the $2.4 billion that we are spending on only food imports, not other imports, only food, would have been dealt with. And that means that you are having $2.4 billion probably sitting in adding to your reserves and giving strength to your local currency. So if we are not tackling the economic issues, I have always said that everything about the world, a country, or whatever, boils down to the economy. If it is health, it's economy.
I want you to comment on the... you wanted to say something? Okay. I want you to comment on the politics of fuel prices.
The politics, that is the problem in this country. Once, instead of focusing on fixing the real problems, we rather focus on the ones that will confuse people to vote for us. So from 93 till now, fuel politics has been there. J. Kufuor did it. President Atamos did it. Mahama did it. Akufo-Addo did it. All of them will use fuel as politics. But the reality is that you are unable to tackle the real issues that will make your fuel prices stable. And therefore, no matter what you do, when you come to power, the reality will show that you don't have the fundamentals. That's why when people criticize Bawumia that he said, when the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose. I said, no, but everybody should praise him for opening our eyes
to the fact
that it is not about pronouncements, but it's about the fundamentals. And therefore, it doesn't matter whether it's Bawumia's government that is in power. So long as the fundamentals are weak, it doesn't matter what kind of promises you make, you will be exposed by the realities on the ground.
Okay.
If you look at it on the world market, fuel prices have not really gone up in the world market. It's only last week, just over the weekend, that OPEC met and said they want to cut down on production by about 500,000 barrels, which the impact is supposed to see a little increase in the price. Yeah. But it's not yet happened. And they took that decision because the price is not going up. But if your CD is sliding, yesterday I saw people quoting 5.6, 5.7. So if your local currency continues to slide because you are dependent heavily on imports, and policies that will serve as import substitution policies that will make sure that you reduce your import or cut some of them completely. We are not pushing hard enough to get them done. Then our promises and our talk and everything will be going on, yet the reality will be hitting us. So we as Ghanaians should stop listening to politicians too much. The fact is that when the fundamentals are weak, the realities on the ground will always expose whoever is in power.
Vivian, any comment on the politics of fuel pricing?
Next year, when they go on campaign, they will use it. It will stop today.
It will definitely happen.
They'll do it because they know that you and I will fall for that. They know you because you are worried about the increment in fuel prices. So you're eager to see what various governments, if they come in, or parties will do to deal with it. But the reality is they won't tell you the truth. They'll tell you what you want to hear. So that you also take a decision based on what you want to hear, which won't be done. But we all know the basic issue, like I said before, is the CD thing. If you don't solve your CD, your currency thing, which the fundamentals around it are a lot, you're wasting your time. So it is what it is. We will go and fall for their politics.
I find it fascinating, though, because, at a point, there had only been one party in power. Then at a point, we had experienced both parties, we've seen what they will do, we've seen what this one will do, and yet somehow we keep falling for the same.
Because there's no alternative. Is there an alternative? If there's an alternative, I think and the alternative is a proper, not just
credible alternative.
A credible alternative. We'll move towards that side. But
how many parties have been in power in the past 25 years?
Exactly. They're all the alternatives.
How many parties have been in power in the past 25 years? Only 2. So if the 2 of them are telling you something in relation to the CD, just remember that in the past 25 years, the CD has never ended the year appreciating against the US dollar.
All right, let's go to our final story on vigilantism. The executive director of the Darko Institute says Akufo-Addo has done enough to tackle vigilantism. And I'll just read a short bit of his what he said here. In a City News interview, Mr. Ahiagba, who is the executive director of the Darko Institute, said that the introduction of the vigilantism and related offences law was enough evidence of the president's desire to fight vigilantism. If people are saying that they want the president to show leadership, I'm interested in that. And the question I ask is, what kind of leadership do you want him to show that he hasn't shown? So by that, you reference to what he has done. When I say done, he's called for a legislation to be passed to criminalize the act. Is that leadership? I say yes. We have institutions in charge of that. But the president has taken the initiative, which is his job, to bring a legislation. Is that leadership? I say yes. Okay, so, Vivian, is it enough?
It's not enough. You see, if you take the CDD's latest report on vigilantism, right, they list the various groups where they are, their names. So, for example, if you look at the table they have, there's Salifo 2. It's connected to the NDC. This is at Gosu. There's Cyber Killers as Asawase. There's Kandahar Boys. This is MPP. Delta Force. They've listed, and I think there are about 20 or so, where they are, who they are, and all that. And they are still active. The report says they are very active, recruiting the women now who are now being used to get information and all that. And we say we can't stop them when we know who they are, where they are, and they are being used.
Yeah.
You see, we have the most...
We're not showing enough will.
We have the most beautiful laws in Ghana. The issue is implementation. Go and check our law books. Every problem, we have a law to deal with it. There's nothing left. And we keep improving over. Then the next step is now arresting the people. And I know the punishment is at least 10 years and no more than 15 years. Arresting the people to deter. They are still using them for rallies. They are still using... Look at Yawaso. They were using... What has happened to them? Those we saw on the videos, what has happened to them?
Double and co.
What has happened? So what are we saying? But we've done a law and then the people are still walking around.
So you don't agree? So you don't agree with the executive director of Darko Institute?
So we arrest people. We make it very unattractive.
But he says that it's the institutions who are responsible. The president has done his part.
The president can direct these institutions to set up, or the people at the top will be fired.
Okay.
The president can do that. The president can do that. You see, this vigilantism thing has been happening way back. Remember the Frances Essam time when she was whipped? It was vigilantism. And then it goes on and on and on and on. There have been so many cases, bloody ones, people have been beaten. You see, I think the politicians are waiting for the time where one of their own will be really beaten or hurt before they see how serious this is.
Because for now, somebody was shot.
No, it's not good enough. It's not good enough for the person that was shot. Is it a prominent politician?
I thought a big man.
I'm talking about a prominent politician. So we see a prominent politician. God forbid. I don't want us to get to that point. We are wasting our time, and that's the only time they take action on anything.
But we saw ministers who were chased and left their shoes behind. We saw ministers.
It shows that it's not good enough. If you see, because the politicians, they are benefiting from these people. They use them to do their own things. So it's good for them. Look at what even happened at Kumasi among themselves. And then it was taken to court. They even threatened the judge. What happened? And we are watching. And these people fined Elvis. You know that fine was...
Find them.
Wasn't good enough. Let's get serious with these things.
I think that, I mean, Vivian, what you're saying, I think is very important, because I think that the issue here is deterrence. You know, so if you're going to find someone and it's not deterring enough, then you've really not done anything. Actually, in a certain sense, you've made it even worse. You know, because you've now empowered and emboldened them to say, "Is this all?"
Same with, sorry, I'm not to cut you. Money laundering, all these things. We just say, okay, you've done this. Let me maybe fine you something or jail you, and then when you come back, come and take the huge money. You even put it in T-bills when you come, the interest and all that. So if I know that if you catch me with whatever, corruption, money laundering, this is my charge. So when I'm stealing, I steal well to cover up for that small thing you charge me. If I go and steal, and I know that when I steal, I get 2 days or a slap on the wrist, won't I go and do it?
It's not punitive. Yeah, so let me also find out from you, Elvis, your thoughts on this whole, we're coming into election year. We're about to start seeing certain, things which are basically a pattern we've seen over the years. Is this act that, is in place that now criminalizes the existence of vigilante groups going to deter, their activities in the coming year?
From day one, I have said that effort is a wasted effort from day one.
Which effort are you talking about?
The Vigilante Act.
Okay.
Wasted effort. The so-called dialogue. Wasted effort.
Explain why
you don't
feel that way?
need any of those things.
Okay.
The laws of Ghana are clear.
So we had enough. Before we got to the act, we already had enough.
If I raise my hand towards you, it didn't touch you. Do you know in law it's assault?
No.
That the mere fact that I raised my hand, we are having an argument, and I raised my hand towards you.
It's a threat.
It's an assault in law.
Really?
Yes. So the kind of laws we have in this country, if we are to implement the laws, we don't need any dialogue, neither do we need any vigilante act. The laws of this country are so solid that if we really want to implement them, no fool can mess around in this country. Okay?
I see.
No fool can mess around. The police have been crying for decades that your 1992 constitution that you claim is constitution makes them just stooges. stooges in the hands of political parties that are in government. Not one, not two, not three, not four. Many senior police officers who are desirous of seeing this country being governed by laws, who really want to enforce the law, have looked at their work, have looked at the constitution, have identified the loopholes, and have told us that if we want the police service, who is supposed to be civilian force, who is supposed to make sure that any food that mess around is dealt with, tells us that we are just a tool in the hand of politicians to use us as and when they wish. That is why when they are in government, they say they believe in us. But when they are in opposition, they say we don't trust the police because they know what they do with us when they are in government. And therefore, if you want solution to your problem in terms of all this nonsense we are seeing in this country, just do one thing: amend the constitution. Make us the real police force. A police council that is headed by the vice president, and almost 70-80% of the people on it are either appointed by the president or represent political appointees. So, and they take directives from these institutions. And they are telling you that that's not how it is done elsewhere. In best practice, where police force is supposed to do its work independently, this is not the kind of law, this is not a structure you give them. So review the structure and give it the structure that will make sure that we don't care who is in power, but we can do our work. I worked for 15 years as a policeman. I get to senior level, and my appointment is determined by the police council, who are politicians. And you want me to go and disobey them so that they will sideline me and put me somewhere after all my sacrifice? I also have to get my promotion and enjoy it.
War against indiscipline. What happened?
Do you understand?
What happened?
So the problem in this country is not about bringing vigilante acts. The laws in this country to deal with crime are more than enough. What we need is to review the constitution, take those powers from the executive, which is having so much control over the police, give the police the real independence they need as best practice that is done elsewhere, and you will see what will happen in this country. Until we do that, you can pass another 20 laws to deal with uselessness and foolishness in this country. It will go nowhere. So we are just dancing around the issue when the reality, what we need to do is there. We are not forcing for it. And citizens are quiet. And we expect that the politician will just give it to us. The politician is benefiting from the system. So it will take the citizens to agitate for it and force the politician that this is what we want before it can be done. The police themselves cannot fight for themselves. It needs people, citizens, to stand up for them and say, we want this type of police force and it must be done.
No, so when you say...
As we speak, some of us are advocating for an independent police complaints commission. Did you see that I also report white paper?
Yes. When you say...
Did you see that they said they don't want an independent police complaints commission? Have you asked them why?
They've thrown away 80% of the report.
Do you know why they don't want an independent police complaints commission? Because once you have it, no policeman will want to kowtow to a politician. Because he knows that the body up there will deal with you. The body doesn't care who sends you to go and do it. But once you are caught as the one who did it, you are the one going to face the punishment.
How do citizens agitate?
How do citizens agitate?
How do citizens agitate?
Oh, my brother. Well, let's wake up.
You're encouraging us to agitate, so that the politicians, the police are strengthened.
So let's wake up one day before the president wake up. We are at his gate. Before the parliament wake up one day, we have covered the whole parliament. And we say, this is what we want. Until it is done, we are not giving you a peace of mind. The media must make it an agenda. A massive agenda that we want the review of the Police Act, the Constitution, and give the police the actual independence they deserve. We will be here as media, we talk about NDC, NPP, talking about Vigilante Act. The real problem to deal with the problem of vigilantism is giving the police the independence that they require. It's not about going to pass an act. Because if you look at the criminal code, Act 60 and 29, every single crime in this country is almost spelled out in the punishment. But the police can't act because they are heavily controlled from somewhere. And it has been established that the structure we have given the police, they can't be independent. Yet this is the force that is to ensure that there's discipline. This is the force that is to ensure that people who go wrong are punished. So if we cannot fight and get them that independence, and on top of that, add an independent police complaints commission that will sweep them anytime they themselves fall short of their duty, we will shout and be talking every day, but we will not get any result. I will not be surprised 2020 election there will be vigilantes everywhere. Because I'm not going to call myself a vigilante. I'm going to tell you that we are the grassroots party people. I'm not using the word vigilante.
Yeah.
I said, we are the people who fought for the party.
Yeah.
So this is what we want for the party to do.
Youth wing.
How are you going to arrest me? Because I didn't say I'm a vigilante.
No.
I said, it's my party.
Yeah.
We fought for the party to come to power.
Yeah.
So this is what we want. What are you going to do? So you see, we should stop this kind of jokes and do the right thing. Give the police the independence they deserve. And then give them an independent police complaints commission. Then we can have a police force that they know that I can't mess up, because if I do, I'll be in trouble. But as we speak, they have told us, and it's the truth, they are a tool in the hand of any government in power to use and dump them.
Okay.
That's the final issue.
Okay. Thank you very much. Well, I want to say thank you to my guests who joined me this morning, Elvis Darko, who's the editor of the Finder newspaper, and then also Vivian Lokko, who is head of news at City TV, City FM. All right, when we come back, we'll be discussing the nutritional benefits of Ghana rice. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. My name is David Kwaku Sakyi.
Hi there. We hope you enjoyed the show.
Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share with your friends.
This is Breakfast Daily on City TV.
Join the Breakfast Daily team Monday through Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10. Join us for breakfast daily, only on City TV.